Hey there! Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this one. Here's a fresh take on the tale you requested, rewritten from scratch while keeping the meaning, structure, and emotional weight intact. Welcome to Revenge with Lyra. I sent a message to the family group chat. Doctor says my surgery's tomorrow. Can someone stay with me? My sister texted back. We've got dinner reservations. Best of luck. My mom chimed in, no need for theatrics. It's only surgery. I replied simply, all good. My name is Rachel Monroe. And if you think you can guess the ending, hold on, because what happens when the people you count on most scoff at the moment, that could break you. That night, my phone slipped from my grip, not from shock, but from a piercing clarity. Their words weren't cutting, they were empty. Empty like a deserted chapel where the silence screams louder than any hymn. I lay staring at the hospital ceiling, for taped to my arm, monitors pulsing with cold precision. My family wasn't coming. They had dinner plans, photos to share, a world where I was a footnote. So I murmured to the empty room, fine, I'll stop asking. A nurse tucked my blanket around me, her eyes kinder than anything my kin ever offered. Strangers showed me more care than blood ever did. That irony stung sharper than the scalpel awaiting me at sunrise. But I didn't lash out. I didn't plead. I chose quiet. And quiet sharpens the mind. That night, as the city buzzed beyond my window, I signed a form, media release, public interest, subtle steps that needed no fanfare, just precision. While they toasted at their dinner, a news ticker was already crafting its headline. While they browsed menus, a newsroom was weaving my name into a story bigger than their indifference. When the cameras rolled, they wouldn't see me as the weak daughter begging for a visitor. They'd see the truth they brushed off, blazing across every screen they held. No shouting, no slamming doors, just their absence turned into proof. At 9:12 p.m., when the segment aired, their forks clattered. Their phones fell. On the news, I wasn't just a patient. I was a story. The headline read, "Left alone before surgery. Family absent. World watching." That was when silence became my spotlight. The clip ran under 3 minutes. A reporter stood outside the hospital, voice steady, words sharp. 29-year-old Rachel Monroe faces surgery tomorrow. Her story, a family chat where she asked for support and was told, don't be dramatic. The anchor's face was somber. My text, anonymized but clear, glowed on screen like wounds. I didn't share them in fury. I shared them in honesty. The world craves evidence, and my family had handed me the clearest kind. Across town, I pictured them frozen at their table. My sister's polished nails clutching her phone too tightly. My mother muttering she wouldn't as her face paled. My father shaking his head, grumbling about exaggeration, about airing dirty laundry. But the laundry was theirs, not mine. While they called me dramatic, the public saw something else, abandonment. By morning, donations flooded in. My hospital room overflowed with flowers. Messages from strangers lined my walls with more warmth than my family ever gave. A local group offered to sit with me during surgery, taking turns so I wouldn't face the operating room alone. The hospital staff grinned. You've got more people waiting outside than most celebrities. Yet the group chat stayed silent. No apologies, no visits, just 3 dots that never became words. At 6:45 a.m., a nurse wheeled me down the corridor. Cameras flashed outside. I didn't wave or smile. I let the story speak. For the first time, my pain wasn't tucked away in the shadows of family neglect. It was public, recorded, seen. The world asked the question my family never did. How could they abandon her like that? I closed my eyes under the surgical lights, calm not because I trusted them, but because I trusted silence, the kind that reveals. When I woke, still breathing, I knew something had changed forever. The surgery mended more than my body. It etched my family's name into disgrace, and I hadn't lifted a finger. My room brimmed with flowers, cards stuffed into every vase. The machines hummed softly, but the real sound was outside. Reporters still gathered, locals lighting candles in quiet support. I wasn't alone anymore, except by blood. My phone buzzed with hundreds of messages, none from those I once called family. They were silent, paralyzed, too late to undo what was now public. Then a notification broke the group chat stillness. My mom, Rachel, please take this down. People are asking questions. My sister, you're humiliating us. This is private. Private? That was their shield. As if neglect shrinks when hidden. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Every stranger's message of love saw what my family refused. I deserved to be seen, not silenced. By evening, the local paper ran a follow-up. Community rallies for patient left alone before surgery. Photos showed volunteers outside my window, holding signs, "We're with you, Rachel." One line in the article shifted everything. Family declined to comment. Declined, not refuted, not explained, declined. At their beloved gala dinners, in the church pews they filled, in the grocery aisles where neighbors lingered, whispers spread. Did you hear? How could they? She asked for someone to be there. My family thrived on image, on control, on praise. Now their silence was a public banner. I leaned back against the hospital pillow, for dripping steadily, and realized something. Revenge wasn't loud retribution. It was letting truth shine where all could see. And truth grows deep roots. By the third day, my surgeon stopped by, smiling. "You'll heal well, but you should know, people are still outside. They say they'll stay until you leave." I smiled for the first time in weeks. My family may have left me at the table, but the world had pulled up chairs. And I wasn't leaving quietly. When I was discharged, the crowd outside had grown. Strangers who'd never spoken my name held signs, painted with it in bright colors, "Rachel Strong." No one should face surgery alone. I was wheeled out the front doors, not the back exit my family would have chosen. Cameras clicked. Reporters shouted questions, but I didn't answer. I smiled, nodded, and let silence speak louder than words. That evening, the news showed a split screen. Me wheeled out to flowers and cheers, my sister slipping out of a restaurant, hand shielding her face from reporters. She pushed past microphones. We had plans. We didn't know it was serious, but the texts were there, replayed on air. "Don't be dramatic. It's just surgery." My mom tried too, forcing a smile for the camera. "We love our daughter." This is being twisted, but the clip rolled again, undeniable. For the first time, their words didn't drown mine. My truth wasn't buried. It was broadcast in sharp clarity, over and over, until no excuse could stand. Sponsors reached out. A nonprofit invited me to speak at a medical fundraiser about hospital loneliness. A journalist called it the story that made a city rethink family. While the world wrapped me in kindness, my family wrapped themselves in shame. Dinner invitations stopped. Neighbors' smiles faded. The social pedestal they cherished crumbled. I didn't yell. I didn't demand apologies. I let the mirror face them until they couldn't look away. Late one night, my phone lit up. "My sister, Rachel, stop this. We can't go anywhere without stairs." "My mom, you've made your point." But they missed it. This wasn't about punishment. It was about proof. Proof I wasn't invisible. Proof their neglect wasn't my burden to hide. Proof the world saw what they ignored. I set my phone face down. I didn't need to reply. Every screen in the city had answered for me. Invitations poured in, a talk show, a podcast, a university health panel. Each carried the same message: your story matters. I remember the night I texted my family, words fragile. "Doctor says surgery's tomorrow. Can someone be with me?" I'd asked for presence and got rejection. Now the world asked me to speak, not as a patient, but as a witness. On my first studio stage, lights glaring, microphone clipped, the host introduced me not as a victim, but as a voice, Rachel Monroe, whose bravery sparked a national conversation about showing up. The applause wasn't for pity, it was for truth. Meanwhile, my family's silence grew into isolation. Neighbors turned away in stores. Church pews shifted when they entered. Invitations vanished. Their precious dinner plans, so vital the night before my surgery, were gone. The group chat stayed empty, 3 dots never reappearing. I kept every screenshot, each dismissive line preserved like artifacts of neglect. This story wasn't just mine. It belonged to everyone who'd asked for love and been told they were too much. At the nonprofit fundraiser, Hundreds gathered under glowing lights, faces warm with empathy. I stood at the podium, steady. I thought I was alone, I began. But being left taught me something. Silence speaks loudest when shared. Applause roared. In the back, I saw them. My mother, sister, father, uninvited, lingering in the shadows, watching a crowd that once clapped for them. Their eyes weren't angry. They were empty, searching for a way back to a world that had shut them out. I didn't call them out. I didn't need to. Revenge wasn't pointing. It was standing in a room full of love they'd withheld, knowing they had to watch it flourish without them. Headlines shifted from patient to advocate. Rachel Monroe speaks for the forgotten. My pain became power, my neglect momentum. Hospitals asked me to consult on family support programs. Organizations sought my input on policies. Strangers in waiting rooms whispered, "That's her." But at home, my family sat in a silence they'd built. My sister tried online damage control, posting curated photos with captions about family unity. Comments flooded. "Where were you when she asked?" She deleted the post. My mother, once the heart of every social circle, retreated. No brunches, no parties. Neighbors whispered as she passed. My father's silence was pride, unbending. But even he couldn't escape the stares the newspapers folded too neatly. I didn't chase them or block them. I left the group chat untouched, a frozen testament. We have dinner plans. Don't be dramatic. No worries. A monument to their choices. One evening, I returned to the hospital, not as a patient, but as a guest of honor. They unveiled a program pairing volunteers with patients facing procedures alone. A nurse whispered, "This is because of you." I thought of the night I lay under harsh lights, silently begging for someone to walk through the door. Now doors would open for others. My family lived in a city where my name was spoken with respect. There's a warning. I never confronted them. Every headline, panel, and program was a mirror they couldn't escape. The cruelest punishment isn't exclusion. It's watching the one you dismiss become everything you said they couldn't. The city gala was next, their former crown jewel, where they'd basked in borrowed glory. For years, I'd been their quiet shadow, smiling faintly as they stole the spotlight. This year, the program named me. Keynote speaker Rachel Monroe, patient advocate. The hall gleamed with chandeliers and polished shoes. My mother wore her usual pearls, but her eyes held a weariness no jewel could hide. My sister's smile cracked too wide, while my father lagged behind, dodging every camera. When my name was called, I stepped onto the stage in a simple navy dress. Steady, not flashy, the kind of presence that shines without glitter. Applause roared. I set my notes down and faced the crowd. My family's table was near the front. I didn't dwell on them. 3 months ago, I sent a family chat message. "Doctor says surgery's tomorrow. Can someone be with me?" The reply was silence, or worse, dismissal. The audience stirred. I held up my phone, the blurred screenshot clear enough to sting. "We have dinner plans." "Don't be dramatic." Gasps echoed. "But here's the truth," I said, voice even. "Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the strangers who show up when it counts." When blood turned away, strangers became my anchor. The room erupted, standing in applause. Cameras flashed. The host dabbed a tear. At their table, my mother lowered her head. My sister's hands twitched. My father's jaw tightened, eyes glued to the table. I didn't gloat. I stood in a light they thought I'd never reach. Revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes it stands unshaken, while those who mock sit silent in the shadows. One final chapter waited, not for cameras or crowds, but for the quiet morning after, when truth would trail them home. The next day, headlines flooded. From neglect to keynote, Rachel Monroe redefines family. My words echoed. Presence is the greatest gift. I didn't check the group chat. I didn't need to. In every coffee shop, on every porch, in every hushed conversation, the city had spoken. My mother skipped her morning walk. Neighbors stopped waving. My sister locked her socials, drowned in comments. My father folded the newspaper with trembling hands, unable to escape the front page. I sipped my coffee in calm silence, my phone buzzing with invitations to speak. Notes from strangers, volunteers joining the hospital program my story birthed. The world they thought too busy had lifted me higher than their silence ever could. I didn't seek applause. My revenge was simple: to thrive loudly in the space they left empty. The group chat stayed frozen. We have dinner plans. Don't be dramatic. No worries. A digital tombstone of their choice. That evening, I paused by my hallway mirror. For years, I'd seen their absence reflected as my failure. Now I saw myself, whole, visible. They wanted me silent, erased. Instead, I became undeniable, not by shouting, but by letting their neglect roar until the world listened. Silence can bury you or crown you. When the story closed, it crowned me.